I mean, I thought you were about to say, yeah, I'll hide it with other paper clips, and I've been like, that's not a bad idea. Because if
What
it's
the
like a
fuck?
nondescript paperclip, how the fuck are they gonna know which one it is?
He
I'll be
picks out
like,
one. He's like, "Is this the one?" I'm like, "No." Is this the one? No. Is this the one?
for
Wait. Is
7
it? No.
days, I'd fucking kill him. Let
It's like,
me
how about this one?
sleep, motherfucker. Figure this shit out.
Sipping on champagne, smoking on that OG strain. I've been through a lot of things. I don't feel all this pain. Pick us a liquor around too. Pour that bottle all on you. Baby, you know what I won't do. I just wanna go and love you.
What is up, everyone? Happy Friday. Thanks for joining us for
Hey.
the wave number 4. And so we've been at this for 5 weeks now, 5 straight weeks of content. We appreciate you all so much. We're super excited to get straight into our topic. We're going to be talking about something that's very near and dear to us, our relationships with friends and our familiar relationships as well. This is something that Christian and I talk about quite a bit with each other, but we're excited to open up the floor, have all of you understand how we perceive our friendships, what we value the most in our friendships and family relationships, what we define as friends and family, how we deal with people coming in and out of our life, and also the tiers of friendships that we have. And so we're excited to have you learn a bit more about us, how we look at that. And we also can't wait to see what you, how you perceive all of that as well. Please make sure to comment your perspectives below, because you're just helping us learn a little bit more about how we can look at things a little differently. So with that being said, let's get to it. We're going to go straight off into our first icebreaker just to set the tone. Let's go ahead and let's get it, everybody. Wave number 4.
Let's go.
Let's get it.
Yeah. All right, Dream Chasers. So to start off for this Wavecast, we have a fun little icebreaker. That's a fun little scenario that me and Sean are going to talk about. To paint the scenario, Sean, your partner, right, has been kidnapped and is being held in a location 30 minutes away. You're driving to rescue them. It's a warm night and your windows are down. Do you listen to music on the drive there? Yes or no? Because you have your partner's kidnapped and like you listen to music.
Yeah.
You would listen to music if your partner's kidnapped.
Yeah, hype music. I'm ready to get into a fight. I would set up. I need the atmosphere. I need to set up the vibe. So I'd probably would be too like zoned out. Like I'd probably be too locked in. But in a perfect world, I would set the stage cinematically for like the most epic ass whooping of all time.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about you?
All the smoke. I would not.
Really?
I would listen to no music. It is silent as shit. And I would just be like, I'd be thinking of like a bajillion different like scenarios. I feel like I'd be too in my head. I wouldn't be able to concentrate if there's music. Because if they took my girl, bro, it's on site. It's on site. Yeah, literally. It's game over. GG's. Like, yeah. So I'll just be thinking of a million different scenarios, and like I would pretty much be riling myself up. So I wouldn't necessarily need music. I would just be like ready as soon as I fucking like hit park, hop out that fucking whip, bro. It's on.
Baseball bat in hand, bro. It's over.
Glock in hand now.
Oh yeah.
No, yeah, dead ass. It'd be on site. Fun little icebreaker. What would you guys do if your partner is held hostage? You have 30-minute drive. You're on your way. Do you listen to music or do you not? Like, what type of zone are you trying to get yourself into? Sean said he will listen to music to get himself amped up. I would already be riled up. I'd be plotting, scheming a bajillion different things to do. Yeah, let us know.
So regarding our main topic today, like we mentioned earlier, today we're going to be talking about friends and family. So just real quick, since we are talking about friends and family, that can mean a lot to different people. I want Christian and me to define family and friend. So my definition of friend is someone that is willing to do what it takes to create a mutual relationship. That's a really generic term, but for me, acquaintances also fall into the term of friends. It's basically someone that you can have a conversation with and be comfortable with. It's about how comfortable you feel with each other and how well you can communicate. Because there's a lot of people out there that I don't really communicate with, and I don't really call them I don't call them a friend at all. But as long as we have some way to like talk to each other and understand each other, that to me is a friend. Now, a family member for me is someone that has proven to me that they're willing to do whatever it takes to make things better for me. Of course, with the understanding that I'll do the same for them, because it's a two-way street. Family and friendships for me are like two-way streets. So basically, it's like like a severely upscaled version of a friend, like someone that quite hyperbolically is like a ride or die friend. So that for me is like family, and of course, there's like blood relations as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are like my definition of family and friends. How do you define family and friends, Christian?
I think like I took it very literally, like for the definition. So I would define a friend as like literally, no joke, just a shared bond of faith and trust. And then I would define family as like literally a shared bond of blood. Because when I started thinking about it, is like especially if you're come from a big family, Filipinos, we got big families.
Mm-hmm.
Like no matter the scale of your family, what kind of unites you two or multiple family members, these families together, is literally your DNA, your blood, and knowing that you come from the same roots. So your flowers kind of blossom the same, but that doesn't mean that you have necessarily inherently, yeah, you have that shared trust and faith, but that wasn't built through experience. It was built through a common understanding of, hey, your mom or dad is, my uncle, auntie type shit, right?
You're born
Versus like,
into it.
right, you're kind of born into it. Yeah, graciously born into it. Versus like a friend is literally something that you build over time, and that's like building trust. It's building faith. It's building a bond that you two or multiple people kind of nod yes that we agree to a set of circumstances, and our relationship has progressed to the point where we can talk, like call each other friends. And it happens at different timelines. Some friends are formed quicker than others. Some friends kind of take a little bit longer. Some friendships kind of form even after you guys didn't like rock with each other necessarily.
Yeah,
Like
it's a while,
had
yeah.
bad first impressions type shit. But that's how I define it: friends and family. And then that also, right, it goes into our next topic of like, at what point does a friend transition into a role of a family member? Like, given these two
Yeah.
separate definitions, right? I feel like a friend, especially in Filipino culture, we have a lot of non-Filipinos that watch this. It is typical in Filipino culture to call a friend of a long time, or even just like close friends, family friends, or friends of family, basically refer to them as family. You'd call, someone as uncle or auntie as a term of one respect, but also a term of endearment and a term of trust. Like they're at that point in your relationship with your family that they're damn near basically family, even though they don't share the same blood as you. And a friend can go through that transition too. I feel like there's no one set criteria. There's no like strict guideline of like, you reached the 48-month mark, you are now a part of the family. I don't think it goes that way. I really don't think it's that linear. There's definitely like no matrix that says one way or the other, like this is the method. But I think it's just like low key, it's kind of an unsaid thing. I feel like it's just like a feeling of emotion and a feeling, and I guess that goes back into like trust and like faith, right? There's a feeling, emotion, and faith, and like, hey, I really rock with this guy. I really rock with this person, this friend, so much that I trust them as into my family, as if I treat them as if they were part of the family. And I think your actions would kind of determine that before your words in your mind even realize it. You know what I mean? Like
I
just like
do.
how you talk to them, or how you represent or present them to people who are strangers or even your own family. I think that'll say a lot in terms of like, oh yeah, this this guy is part of the family. I have seen him like a number of times over the past X amount of years. Like, this dude's one of us type shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That's how I kind of see it. What about you? I'm curious.
To address what you talked about chronologically, you talked about how in the Filipino culture, we look at family friends as like uncles or aunties, or appropriate more specifically, we call them like tito or tita, uncle or aunt,
Yeah.
in Filipino. And so it took me a while when I was a kid. I was like, "Oh yeah, you're my uncle. Yeah, you're my aunt." And then when I got older, my mom and dad were like, "No, they're not really like your blood relatives." And I was like, "Wait, seriously?"
Yeah.
So he's not really my cousin. Like, he's not really my pinsan. Like, what? and it kind of broke immersion for me when I was younger. But that's kind of like besides the point. Like, depending on where your cultural identity, everyone defines family differently. But Christian and I are primarily in alignment. It's the familial, it's the bonds that we're born into, and also there are a few choice moments, very selective moments, in which people earn that like familial bond with each other. Like, Christian is one of the very few people that I would consider family outside of my like literal blood family. Of course, there's like other family friends as well, but it takes a lot for me to transition someone from like really close friend to family, because for me it's like a combination of what have you and I done for each other, and how long have we been doing it for, like a level of consistency, like long-term consistency, and like loyalty and dependability. But yeah, you and I are entirely in alignment with how we define family, and then how someone transitions from friendship to like familial relationship.
Right.
But yeah, it's important for us to realize, what we have. It's important for us to understand the relationships we have, and how we define who is our friend and what we value in a friend. Because at the end of the day, you're with people all the time. You want to make sure you're picking the best people that you surround yourself with. I'm of the mindset that you are a reflection of the people around you. And I don't know if you feel the same way, Christian. How do you feel about that, like that statement? In general?
No, I like that a lot. I was thinking about that too. It's like the people that you surround yourself with is a reflection of yourself in a way, because like the friends that you relate to, at least the friendships that stick with you over the years, are because in a way you share the same values, you share the same maybe sense of humor, interests, maybe even. There's like reasons why y'all stick together over the years. It's because you're like different people, but same interests, like shared values, essentially. So, I think that's super true, and it also ties into just the aspect of that quote is like, you are who you surround yourself with. Essentially, your environment, your friend group, kind of doesn't dictate, but it influences who you become. If you surround yourself with a bunch of low lives, like maybe, or like unambitious people, maybe people who have very harmful addictions, or just like hanging with the wrong crowd, like that influences you. You kind of get pulled into that type of energy. But the energy that you attract is, yeah, I agree. It's a reflection of the energy that you produce.
Well, I'm glad we're in agreement on that as well. And of course, since you and I are in agreement on that, it's important for us to understand what is it exactly that we value in the friendships that we have.
I think my number one value in my relationships is, and specifically with friends and family, is loyalty. That is probably my number one most important value, because it's just like, it sets a strong foundation of all these other secondary, tertiary values that I hold closely. I strongly believe without loyalty, you won't be able to kind of build and progress any relationship. I mean, that just makes literal sense. Loyalty is by nature just like being
friendship.
Yeah, just friendship.
Yeah.
And as soon as you like switch the tune and melody of that song of loyalty, then that's just gonna like crumble the foundation of what you've been building this whole time. It really truly is the identity of a friendship or family relationship. Because I've had family members cross me, like close friends that crossed me, and it all was because of like just them not being loyal. Essentially, loyalty is my number one, bro. What about you? What's like your most one of the values that you hold close?
Yeah. So I'll start off with my number one as well. For me, my number one value, the one thing that I value is also a value rather than an idea. Honesty.
Ooh.
And so
Okay.
I know that everyone's gonna be different, and I know we're gonna do shit that pisses each other off. But what matters to me, is I understand why you and I do things the way we do it. Because I can forgive and not forget, but I can only do that if I know what was going through your mind. And I can support you if I know why you think the way you think. I can come up with a way to support you. Whether it's directly or indirectly, it just depends. And there's also something important regarding honesty. So there's a difference between honesty and being blunt. For me, being blunt is not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for someone that'll just say what's on their mind, regardless of how they're feeling in the moment. Like, I don't want you to just tell me, like, bluntly that I suck at X, Y, and Z. I want you to be honest with me and tell me and say it with respect. So there's a right way to be truthful, and there's a wrong way to be truthful. And so for me, like, I value honesty, which is the right way to be truthful. You don't have to say shit with a negative connotation. There's always a better way to say something. Like, you can call someone out for being an asshole, but you don't have to make it seem like it's their identity. Everyone makes mistakes. And you don't have to soften the blow either. You don't have to say, oh yeah, like, oh, I know that's not you. Just tell them that they made a mistake and help work with them to figure it out. There's like there's a spectrum, or I guess a pendulum. There's either like padding the truth, which can potentially lead to lies, or there's like bluntness, which can be like more insulting and more aggravating because it's more of an insult and coming from a place of disrespect. And so you kind of have to find a way to marry the two. But yeah, for me, number one is like honesty, which in summation again is respectful truthfulness.
Respectful, true, and yeah, that's another good value too. Is just respect too, in general.
There you go. Would that be your second? Is that your second value?
No, it's not. But it's just something that reminded me of that. I feel like that was a really good take. The difference between honesty and bluntness, because I know, and I have met some people who love to claim bluntness as like a personality trait. Like, oh, I love to be blunt. I love to, be a fire starter in that manner, which, I mean, in a way it's good, but in the context that you're using it, yeah, it can come off as like disrespectful or even egotistical. I feel like there's like abrasive. A line between, super abrasive, like, and mean, cruel. Yeah. And there's like truth in kind of saying the hard truths, but there's ways and methods to say harsh things or harsh truths, these difficult conversations that we have on a daily basis. And it takes, I feel like, just kind of dissecting this portion, then we can keep moving forward on the values. But like, between the fine line between honesty and bluntness, I feel like on both sides it takes the person who's being honest to check their ego at the door, because I feel like some honest confessions or remarks kind of are rooted in some type of ego, in some type of way. Because if I were honest and truthful with you, for example, Sean, for let's say because we had a lot of honest talks, like just like in our decade plus long friendship, but if I were to just come to you honestly and just be like, Sean, I don't like that hat, or something like that, right? There's a certain type of like ego associated with kind of that abrasive honesty. There's a better way to kind of, I think, say that. And I think there's an ego, because then that means if I'm like shitting on your hat and just being honest, like honestly, that hat doesn't fit you type thing. There's a reflection of value for how do I perceive that hat. And if I think that hat is ugly by my standards, whatever the fuck that means, I'm putting those standards onto you. And it's just an opinion, right? It's an honest opinion. But honesty can be checked and filtered through a check of ego at the door. And then it also takes a sense of accountability on the receiving end of honesty, of honest remarks, like for you to be accountable and just be like, forget the hat example, but say you fuck up with something and I'm being honest and calling you out on it. There's an accountability that should be, but yeah, I'm going super tangential, but like there's an accountability on the receiving end of honest remarks, to where like you have to kind of own up to it as well. So it's a kind of a balancing act of ego and accountability when we talk about honesty and like abrasiveness.
Because a lot of people, when it comes to honesty, it's like if you have something to say to someone, there's a difference between looking out for them and just making yourself feel better by like saying some shit that's on your mind. It's all about a matter of finding like whether the thought on your mind is to your benefit to say, or if it's to the other person's benefit, or if it's mutually beneficial. And optimally, the latter is like the best thing to talk about. Because like using the hat example, like let's say you did say that to me. That doesn't make me feel better at all, but it makes you feel amazing because you know, but then with the other example, you're coming at it like you're holding me accountable for something I did. For you, you're analyzing that, like as the person has to bring it up, you're analyzing how I'll perceive it, but you're also analyzing how I will take that to make myself better. And so for me, like I guess the more we talk about it, the more being blunt is just like being truthful without actually trying to help the other person. Whereas being honest is about like finding a mutual common ground where things can improve, whether the person that brought it up needs to perceive it a different way, or the person that is the subject of the feedback should change, or both. But yeah. That's why my top one value, if I had multiple values, my number one value would just be honesty. But Christian, what's another value that you have for like your family relationships or friendships?
So a second value would be altruism, or being altruistic. I love that word because one, it's a core value of mine personally. Just like I take pride in just being altruistic with whatever endeavor, pursuit that I chase after, or any action that I do. And for the listeners out there, altruism and an altruistic kind of mindset is just essentially boils down to doing things for the right reasons. That's like the simple definition, is just whatever that you're doing, are you doing it for the right reasons? And an altruistic person would be like, yeah, I'm doing this for the right reasons. And I think that just comes into, it kind of integrates a lot of different kind of core values that people love, in terms of just like integrity, one, honesty, two, and benevolence.
That is a very important thing to talk about. And so when it comes to altruism, I just wanted to clarify your definition is spot on. But doing things for the right reasons is a big part of it, but doing it for the well-being of others is the other important part, because we could all be like, oh yeah, I'm doing it for the right reasons, but who's the focus of the right reason? Is it ourselves, or is it the people around us? And so thank you, Christian, for bringing that up. It's like just looking out benevolently for not just yourself, but for the people around you and the people just like others.
Right.
Sorry, I'm real passionate about altruism. I love altruism.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is a shared value that we both have in terms of like our friendships and relationships. Yeah. Because even for ourselves, like we said, the people that we hang out with is a reflection of our own core values. And me and you, I could say objectively, are naturally altruistic, right? Like we try to do things for the right reasons, for the well-beings of others.
You are, for the most part. Actually, all the time. No, I'm questionable.
I don't know. You don't
we are
that.
generous. We are generous. I will. I
You're
will.
altruistic.
Okay, I am
You wouldn't say you're
altruistic.
altruistic? You really wouldn't?
I think my actions show I'm altruistic, but my thoughts, which I know they don't define who you are, your actions do, but my thoughts aren't always altruistic, if that makes sense. And that's like an honest revelation.
Explain. Explain. I
So
don't know. I'm not tracking.
let's say I go to a party.
Yeah.
I go to a party. I bring a bottle. I bring a bottle not just because I'm feeling generous. I'm bringing it so I can show that I'm not like a freeloader or show like set an example. Does that make sense? So it's
So
not
you're,
necessarily for the well-being of others, but it's for like my own, like to make sure that I actually like show up with something, to make sure that either I'm not a freeloader, or that these people need to step it up, or just so I look cool because I pull up with like a bottle of like expensive tequila. So there's like multiple ways to look at that. And so that's
okay.
why there are times where you can see someone and think they're altruistic, but they don't really have altruistic intentions. And I will be the first to admit, I don't always have altruistic intentions, but it just ends up that what I do ends up being for the good of others. And so that's
Hmm.
why I make the honest admission that I'm not entirely altruistic, but I am generous.
Yeah, no, I
Is that a
think
good
that's
example?
yeah, no, that's super fair. I feel like I would
Mhm.
argue no one in this world is 100% altruistic.
You are
You
very
know,
true.
there definitely is a spectrum. So I wouldn't fault you for saying that because I would be guilty of that too, much like 99% of the world, damn near 100. You know,
Hmm.
um, but the idea is that at least you walk
Generally,
with
we're
it.
altruistic.
Yeah, you walk with the intention of being altruistic most of your life, and you falling any bit short of that just means that you're human, really. So I
Well,
think that's fine. No, that's real though. That's real. I'm glad that we share that same value because like when it comes to friendships and relationships with family members, right? It's
mhm,
like we value that most in those relationships because we like seeing the authenticity, the genuineness of others come
mhm.
off either through their words or through their actions. And because we like that for ourselves, we appreciate it deeply in others. And that's why I think we cling around people who are more or less altruistic. And
Gotcha.
you know what I mean? It's good group shared value to have, I feel like, because altruism is also, in a way, energy. I've talked about before with my friends is like being altruistic at any rate. It's just like you being a source of like good, positive energy, and it can rub off to essentially produce and create like make someone be another good, positive energy for someone else, like a source of
To inspire
inspiration.
them.
Yeah, it really is to inspire. Altruism definitely goes hand in hand with inspiration.
Well, that was a beautiful second value that you had. I was
Hmm.
going to cop out and say, "Oh yeah, that's mine too," but I'm gonna come up with something different. So my first one was honesty. My second
Mm.
one is open mindedness. I
Oh,
know it's
oh,
it's
this is
hard.
interesting. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm ready for
a
this.
lot of people, a lot of people that I hang around, they're they're more open minded than they say they are, but they have moments of stubbornness as well. You
That's
take what you
me.
can,
That's me.
but in general, open mindedness is a very general term. It's basically just a measure of how eager or how receptive you are of new ideas, whether it's new fun ideas, activities to do, um, new debate topics that you may have, whether you're talking politics or economics, or
Okay.
just talking about just like new things in general that another person you're talking to has never heard of before. They're like, I
Mm.
enjoy having conversations with people that are at least willing to listen and that are open to listening rather than like putting up a wall and saying, nope, fuck that. I'm not touching that topic with like a 10-foot pole. And so open mindedness for me is like general. It's like being receptive to at least talking about an idea.
Mm.
There's also the ability to take in what's being told to you, and instead of pushing it out and coming up with like ways to like refute it, just thinking about it, like actively thinking about it, and then coming up with not a retort just to like spite the other person, but like an educated response, whether it's, hey, like, you give me something good to think about. I'd love to talk to you more about this when I have some more information, which I try to do with a lot of people, especially at work.
Mm.
And or another response is like, hey, I see where you're coming from, and maybe this is a way that we can marry your perspectives. Or the other way is, respectfully, I hear what you're saying. I've thought about it a lot, and I don't really think about it that way, but I can still respect and I appreciate you for bringing that up. And so open-mindedness is just about like taking it in and just like
Okay.
letting it sit in your mind, regardless of what you do with it.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a difference between that and just like having a wallop and pushing everything that you don't like just out,
Right.
like filtering it out. So that for me is like my number 2 value, just open-mindedness.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then I asked you then, with all these like values that we hold dearly,
Mm-hmm.
if someone doesn't have those two values that you said, honesty and open-mindedness, what's the likeliness, probability of that person becoming your friend?
Well, I like people in general, and I look at the best
Mhm.
in people. um, I'd say it's pretty medium. I don't want to say that generic shit and be like, oh yeah, I'm good at reading people. But I've honestly had a pretty good read on on the people that I've chosen to get closer to.
Yeah.
If I don't view them as like honest, they have to have one or the other, just one,
Mhm.
and that like opens the door for me. And even if they don't, like, it wouldn't be really open minded of me to like shut them away permanently. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it's just my mind would be naturally resistant to like hanging out with them, if that makes sense. Just
Mhm.
because it's like, well, they're not really honest, or they don't really seem like they're good listeners, um, or they just talk a lot of shit without like being respectful about it, or they just, yeah. So it's a low to medium likelihood if they don't have like honesty or open mindedness that I'd consider them for like future friendship. But that's a good question.
Right. Yeah. I feel like it bleeds into like the idea of like tiers in friendships. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because like on a
yeah,
baseline level, right? Um, you're saying that we're open to meeting people, and regardless of the values that they hold, they come into our life, and we kind of mentally in our head is like, okay, we put them. You're like, you're in this tier,
yeah.
this tier, this tier. Like for that example, if someone didn't have any of the values I hold or the values that I look for in friends and family, they'll probably just like kind of stay, if I were to speak honestly, in that acquaintances
Hmm.
bracket. And then that's like kind of how like the list goes, right? It's like acquaintances, friends, best friends, and then like family at the
Yeah,
top.
that's a shared tier list that you and I both have. Um, and so to clarify, you're saying that if you were to put your tier of friendship into a chart, tier 0 would be like acquaintances, 1 would
Mm.
be friends, 2 would be close friends, 3 would be best friends or allies. What would come after close friends? If you had any, would it just go
Uh,
straight to best friends, or
I think best friends.
just best friends? Okay, so close to best friends, and then would you consider family to be like the final tier then, or would that even be a part of your tier of friendship?
Hmm. I would consider it because some best
You would consider it.
friends, or yeah, damn near all best friends is like pretty much considered family. I feel like
Oh,
at a
so they can
certain
be
point.
equivalent then.
Yeah, yeah. And then I would even
Yeah.
argue like underneath acquaintances. Well, I don't know. It's like strangers, strangers. You
Ah,
know.
so maybe that should be tier 0 then. Okay.
Yeah, strangers. Tier 0, tier 1's acquaintances. Tier 2's friends. Tier 3 is close friends, and then tier 4 is like best friends slash family. I
Gotcha.
feel
That's
like.
like like highest tier.
Mm-hmm.
With a lot of people that we've met all throughout our lives, I'm sure there've been like a ton of people that have like cycled in and out of those, you know, tiers. I know for me, I know for me, you know, high school and college, there was definitely a lot of like, you know, people flowing in and out of all of those tiers. And Christian, do you feel like you have had a lot of people coming in and out of like tiers, or do you feel like people have stayed consistent all throughout?
Oh yeah, bro. That's like life in general. I feel like the older we get is like that's a common element of just growing up and maturing is realizing that in our whole like narrative of our life and it's being written each day that we wake up is that there are new characters casted in our stories and previous characters that depart every single like year pretty much, right? In one way or the other. And I think it is sad when you think about it. It's tough to deal with when you first starting out because then at the end of the day, everyone just wants to be loved and accepted, and have a group of people that understands them in its like kind of rawest form. And then that's what kind of forms friendships and kind of family. But like, and it's tough to deal with when we hit that first transition of post high school to college or whatever future endeavor you pursue, or even before then, if you like live in a military family and like kind of like switching states and moving like every single time, right? People deal with like loss, or I guess friends to strangers, strangers to friends, and that cyclical nature of it so many times to where it's like it's hard to do at first, but once you like realize that life is about like losses and gains for friends, and it's not necessarily in a way, yeah, it's like I feel like it's tough to deal with, but I think what stays, even if a new person comes into your life and then they leave, what stays is the experience and lessons you learn from them. That's literally, in my opinion, life's gift, or any person's gift when our stories meet. Like me and you, Sean, like 10 plus years ago when we met and crossed paths, and it just so happens that now in 2024, our stories are still aligning, and we're written in each other's chapters. There's lessons every single year that we learn from each other. And then there's characters who were in our life for a fraction of time that it is super sad. But when you think about it, they're forever embedded in our story, because they're written in it in the first place. No matter the tier list that they were in, strangers to acquaintances to friends, there was some impression, something we learned from everyone. I think that's like the coolest thing. That's something I even learned now in my military career is, and I talked to you about this like offline, is the nature of just like gaining friends and losing it so rapidly. It does suck, like always having to rebuilding, being uncomfortable, and like starting anew all over again. But the lessons you learn from all different tiers and this like tiers of friendship, that's like the coolest thing in my opinion. Like no matter your tier, like you have an impact one way or the other. What do you think about that?
Number one, I think that I think everything you said was beautiful.
What
I'm not gonna lie. The I agree with what you say, and I agree with the idea that there is beauty in appreciating that people are just going to be there for a few chapters. There's just going to be characters in chapters 1 through 20, or maybe chapters 5 through 7. And the best takeaways are the fact that number one, they're written into your stories. Damn, that shit was beautiful. And number two, there are like experiences that are forever going to be like, that are forever going to help mold you into the person you become. However, it's just rough. It's not really rough, but I guess, yeah, let me rephrase that. The thing for me is it's rough because I think I get attached easily to people. And I think it's because of I think it's I know my self-worth. I know that I have a lot to offer to the world, but just knowing that there are people that feel the same way, or that there are people that I can share, life with, share a part of me and learn more about the world with, it just like hooks me. And that's why it's so easy for me to like get into good conversations with the right people. And when those right people like transition out of my life, like it actually breaks my heart. And so
Yeah.
I'm very thankful that you shared your perspective, because it brought a whole new level of beauty to my eyes. Like I basically took off the aviators and put on like fucking like another set of glasses, and it made things more palatable. You know, since we graduated from high school and college, the people that have come and gone from our life, it's pretty numerous.
Yeah.
And you know, especially for you, since you're having to go through, you know, life as an airman, when you had to go through, you know, your camp training, you met a lot of people, and those are people that you're going to share a lot of cherished moments with forever. And then for me, the only comparable period I have was like when we were undergraduates at UW, and we met a lot of people, and I don't keep in touch with any of them anymore. And sometimes I wonder if it's like me that pushed them away, or if it's just life that like pushed people away just because we're busy. And I know where I stand. Like for me, I just don't catch up with people just because I don't have time. But sometimes I
Yeah.
think it's just the wanderer in my head. It's like, Sean, you are the reason why no one wants to hang out anymore. I think it's just because I'm so internally focused. I put emphasis on myself, on how I can do better to keep who I've put myself out there for. But the good thing is, your perspective has helped open up my mind. It's not that, it's a shared struggle. All of us are just trying to hold on to what we can, and the bandwidth just isn't there sometimes. But what does matter is the memories, the skills, and the experiences and emotions that you've been given along the way. And at the end of the day, that's what really matters. Because if you had the same thing, and this is what I was thinking when you were talking, if you have the same thing all the time, you're not going to learn how to appreciate it.
Right.
Even though nothing lasts forever, there is beauty in the temporary, and just learning to appreciate what you have is the fundamental foundation of happiness. Because you can't be happy if you're always doing the same thing. You can be content, but you won't be happy. In general, the question is, how do we deal with like this, people transitioning? And I guess
Yeah.
the answer for me is like, it's something you learn naturally. With everything that you explained, it sounds like you have a pretty solid grasp of how you can do it. But for me, it's like something I'm still learning, which is why I'm thankful that we have this discussion, because then I can, you know, listen, think about what you say, and then incorporate that perspective into my own perspective. And so it's something that I'm still learning to do. It's not like getting over it, because it's not like we're dating or anything, but it's like, how do you learn to perceive such bittersweetness and look at it for the sweetness rather than like the bitter taste that's in your mouth? Like
Yeah.
eating vegetables. Like
Okay. Yeah.
vegetables are, you could either look at vegetables as one thing, or like as, damn, they taste like ass, or you could look at them as, hey, they're great for me long term. And people cycling in and out of life, you can look at them as like they abandon you, or you abandon them, or you could look at it as it was just time for their part in your chapter to end, and there's no such thing as it being forever lost. You still
Right.
have like so many chapters to reconnect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn, that shit was
No.
a live action realization, bro. Thank you.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's I'm glad. I'm glad I can, share that my perspective, cuz it's with any lessons in life, like we learned, at least this my perspective on kind of dealing with friends transitioning in and out of your life was forged by fire, because I had to go through a rapid change of switches in environments, and a transition from a comfortable environment to an unfamiliar territory and like foreign grounds, to where my past, I don't know, 8, 10 years of life was so used to the comfortability of static placements of people and the consistency of their presence in my life, to where when I had that flipped on its head, and to where that I was like facing the other direction, not knowing anyone, going from knowing no one to going from knowing everyone to knowing no one was a total like switch in my mind, where I had to turn into myself to know myself, to understand that whether you know someone or everyone or no one, you know, the appreciation is the fact that you just know, right? And that's like forged by fire, because I struggled with that. Like, it is like, yeah, you mentioned like we're not dating. But it is like a damn near like a form of heartbreak in a way, right? That's the natural human like reaction towards losing
a relationship.
someone, a relationship. It could be significant to little, but you know, you can continuously reflect on that and simp on it, and then it can be the saddest thing if you let it to be, right? But it's all like this idea, I think we mentioned in previous wavecasts too, is just framing. I challenge a lot of the listeners out there, like, frame your kind of these like struggles or problems in different ways of looking at it. I love metaphors and analogies. I mean, you can kind of tell by the way I talk. It's just like, because that's what helps me. If I view life in a way that services myself to understand the kind of, if I have no one, at least I can refer to something as guidance, and I can take that information and sculpt it, chisel that fucking mold to benefit myself. I can make a band-aid if I want to, or like a remedy. And that's what I do with this problem, is like, you know, if it's tough to deal with friends transitioning in and out, the alternative is appreciating their presence to begin with, to where no matter if they stay in your life or they leave your life, their presence is always felt and remembered. And that's like literally the most beautiful thing about life. And this is even like, you can go to extremes, right? You can go into heartbreak, breakups. Me and you both have exes, so I mean that can be applied to that too. I talked to so many people in my job, and just meeting people that pass since I started this new career, and dealing with loss in so many different forms, whether it's through breakup, the passing of a loved one, fallout of a friendship, all of that, right? Wrap that all up. Oh shit, wrap that all up, right? And the perspective is that no matter your feelings, like, it's nothing is ever like, you shouldn't regret something because it happened. You can't change the history. You could just change how you like perceive it and kind of frame it. So I had this conversation earlier, it's just like with one of my roommates, is like with breakups, for example, and transitions from friends to strangers is in a way like a platonic breakup, if you will. And he was kind of at the time struggling, and kind of just like, you know, those intense emotions, just like, fuck bro, like I wasted, this is a common phrase, I wasted my time, X amount of years, X amount of months with this person, and they did me wrong, so now they're out of my life, but like, fuck, I regret it, right? That's a super common response, and I felt that in some way or form, like in the years prior. But I was telling him, like in the car, I was like, hey, listen, like, you know, you can think of it that way and regret all your actions and all your memories and all of your X amount of chapters of your life with that person. Or you can say you're the person today, now, right here, right now, because you went through that. And now you know, they kind of imparted a major critical lesson in your life, to where you now know the types of people you want to be around, which is the total antithesis of what that person is, right? Especially if they, you know. So that was like, he kind of I kind of opened his eyes to that perspective of like, you know, it's okay to feel these emotions, because they're real, raw human emotions. We're all humans, but like at the same time, it's mastering your own emotions. You know, you can either choose to master your emotions, or are you going to let someone else dictate how you walk and how you feel throughout the rest of your life because of a certain time where they just chose to leave you? You can do that. That's one pathway you can go. But just know that if you walk down that path, they have your emotions on a leash and they tug it whenever they feel like it, because your mind and your memory is attached to their decisions and actions, to where if you feel bad about yourself for being with that person, that's them constantly tugging on your emotions. They're already physically separated from you, no longer in your life, but yet you're still going to allow them to have that leash on your emotions? Or are you going to take that leash back and rein it in for yourself to control, because they already became the masters of action by creating this whole mess of a situation, maybe leaving. But then now you have this new autonomy to be able to take the reins and control and be like, nah, you did X, Y, and Z, but I have full autonomy of my emotions. And even though you're left, your spirit's not going to tug at my emotions anymore because I'm in charge of it. That's another form of transition, right? I think it's an important perspective because a lot of people go through various forms of heartbreak, and transitioning from close friends, best friends, family, friends, acquaintance to total strangers is something that a lot of us, including all your listeners out there, can sympathize and empathize with or relate to, right?
Beautifully said. Thank you, Christian. And it's interesting. It's important for us to remember the power of framing at the end of the day. At the end of the day, the people that you choose to surround yourself with, of course, they're reflections. They can be reflections of who you are, but you also have the ability to change that, or you have the ability to improve the relationships around you, and even improve the relationship with yourself. Christian and I have defined who families and friends are to us, the values that we look at, that we value the most, the values we look at the most in our relationships with others. And we also talked a little bit about how we deal with people coming in and out of our lives. And at the end of the day, it all boils down to how we choose to look at it. Because we can either choose to look at it as fatalistic. You can either look at it as, oh man, it's out of my control. It is what it is. And you can also look at it in the same negative mindset of, oh, it's my fault this, it's my fault that, or it's something's fault. Or you could look at it in the positive and productive mindset of, hey, all these experiences are just words in my chapter, and hey, even though things aren't good, we can always be better. Right? Hey, there's a problem I got to bring up, but it's going to make us stronger if we address it correctly and if we address it together. And so at the end of the day, for our listeners and viewers out there, cherish your loved ones, cherish your friends, and cherish your family. And just know that just as much as they have control over how your relationships go, you also have control as well. And you chose to surround yourself with them for the right reasons. And even though it's not a responsibility and it's not a challenge on our end, we encourage that, you take the reins, make the most of your relationships, and cherish them. Enjoy them, not while you have them, but just in the moment. None of us have a crystal ball. Anything can happen. But what matters is what we can do right now. And all we can control is what we do. We can't control how other people think. So make it that as you will. This is a very important conversation for Christian and me, especially since he and I are best friends. He and I know what we value in each other, but it's important for us to impart how important that is to everyone. We all should know who and what we surround ourselves with and why we do that. It's self-reflective to a degree. And even now, there are things he and I are discovering. Hell, I just discovered something 20 minutes ago, a different way to frame the people that come and go. So lean on your friends and the family members that you have, and cherish every moment with them. And take initiative, take action, do so respectfully and altruistically.
Hey, well said, man. Well said. All right, and on to our weekly challenge recap. So last week, me and Sean presented a new weekly challenge in which Sean actually, he presented this step challenge. So it was to challenge each other for 7 days to be more active and get our steps out there. He actually had this tier list that to strive for. So there was a bronze medal list that you can get, which is if you achieve 10,000 steps in a day. And then there's a silver tier where you reach 12,500 steps in a day. And then the gold tier was 15,000 steps. And then there's this illustrative platinum tier, which was like 16,000 steps, which is insane. A really interesting challenge, a really fun challenge. Yeah, we're just going to recap on how it did. I encourage you guys, as you're listening to this, reflect on how you did for your journey, because everyone's challenge is different. Remember, we're not comparing, we're not contrasting. We're just using this as an accountability partner, and just knowing that you're not doing this challenge alone. You're doing it with a community of people, which is really, really cool. Really, really awesome. So I'll start off with my experience. So this weekly challenge was very interesting for me personally, because in my line of work, and that's why I asked the question, how do we track our steps if we don't necessarily have like a Fitbit or like an Apple Watch or something that's on us? Yeah, my line of work requires I don't have my phone on me like most of the day throughout the week. I only have it when I come back home, essentially. Because of that, it was really hard to like get a good gauge or measurement as to how many steps I take in a day, because I have no electronic devices on me. So I'm kind of just prefacing this by saying I'm estimating the amount of steps I've taken each day. I would say I probably averaged around the bronze tier. For me, it was a little hard to, just the nature of my job, it was hard to gauge that with not really having a good like technology to assist me with. I tried my best to get the amount of steps, and who knows, maybe I went above it or not, but I don't know. In general, I would say I averaged about like a bronze tier level, but it was fun. I really challenged myself to walk everywhere instead of like drive. So purposely like parking way farther than I usually do. So just to like get those extra steps in. Hopefully it helps. I don't know. Again, I don't have a tracker. It
adds up.
It felt like it did. Yeah, it adds up little by little.
One thing that I figured out is I calculated the amount of steps I did per minute. I think I do 116 steps per minute.
Oh, that's a lot.
For anyone out there, if you ever do want to do some self-counting, I would recommend counting how many steps you walk on average, whether it's a comfortable pace or like a power walking phase or like a brisk walk. For me, I would walk around 116 steps per minute. I legit went on my phone, went on the stopwatch, press start, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then until I got to the 1 minute mark, I did it 3 times, divided it by 3 to get the average, 116 steps. And that's really hard to calculate how many steps you walk when you don't have the technology. I'm so reliant on mine, and it's not like you can find a stepometer or whatever they call it easily nowadays.
Just clicking as you step or something.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't want the clickers.
Be looking crazy, bro.
I know. So you averaged around bronze for the challenge?
Yeah, I would say bronze.
Gotcha.
Yeah, just to be on the safe side, a little generous.
A little generous.
I don't know. It could be gold, but I really don't know. But I tried my best to at least get a decent amount of steps in, and
That's
like little things like that.
That's good. At the end of the day, we're just looking to get the minimum required steps, which is just 10,000. Just because 10,000 means we've gotten a lot of good steps. We've gotten to use our legs, eliminate the possibility of like deep vein thrombosis, like the development of clots in our legs, and just work out our heart as well. Make sure that we're in a comfortable zone. End of the day, a lot of us are in office jobs, and the more we use our legs, the better we'll be. And so that's like what drove me to come up with a step challenge.
How'd yours go?
Mine went relatively well. So I reached damn near silver on 4 out of the 7 days. The other 3 days I did not. So day 1, when we filmed the last wave, I got 3,000 steps. The day after that, I got 12,498 steps. So I was 2 steps away. I'm not counting that as silver though. That's bronze.
No way. 2 steps away?
Yeah, I was legit
just 2 more steps, bro.
I know, but I wasn't. I was like, hey man, I just want bronze. Can you see this?
Yeah, 2,400. No fucking. You really were 2 away.
I
Oh
know.
my gosh.
Yeah. And the day after that, 11,600 steps. And then day 4, 2,500. I got hella lazy. I was like, fuck my legs. Day 5, 12,900 steps. And then day 6, 6,000 steps. And then day 7, 11,000. So I think I was like a little under bronze if I were to average out throughout the week. And I'm actually proud of myself. I didn't walk outside a lot for I just got these steps by going on the treadmill, and so I've been like on this like this path to doing like 30 to 45 minute workouts every 2 days, because I'm trying to be able to build up for 5K endurance, like be able to run a 5K without stopping in like 32 to 35 minutes, because I'm not really cardiovascularly fit when I run. I can bike, and I can do any other cardiovascular activity. I can even stair step. I can't run for shit though. So I really want to be able to like run and build endurance to run and eventually do sprints as well. But that's besides the point. I'm glad that you and I at least got, or you got bronze. I got a little under bronze, I think, if I were to average the steps. But that was a really fun challenge.
That
Hopefully to all of
was.
our viewers, yeah, hopefully to all of our viewers and listeners, you all were able to reach at least bronze every day, if not at least average it out. Please share your feedback and questions to the comment section below. Thank you all for doing
Hey.
it with us. We can't do this without your support, and we're glad to be able to do this with you as well. And I'm proud of you for
Yeah.
at least trying and challenging yourself to do so. But yeah,
Yeah. Good job, guys.
amazing.
What's the next challenge?
So this next challenge, it's going to be a bit more of a low-key side. I know on our first wave, we had a self-improvement corner where Christian and I talked about um, one tip that helped us with our mental health and helped us essentially reframe, helped us deal with the rigors of living life. So in relation to the self-improvement corner from wave 1, my weekly challenge this week for everyone is to dedicate at least 3 minutes to meditation. 3 minutes of meditation per day.
Oh.
3 minutes is doable, everyone. You can just do a guided meditation on YouTube. If you have a smartwatch, they may have a meditation app. Um, Hell, just sit in space, sit in an empty space, shut your eyes, don't think of anything. Option A, or B, let the thoughts run through your mind without stopping any of them for 3 minutes, and just open your eyes when you're done. Just set a timer. All that matters is that you're spending 3 minutes meditating. Now, you can define meditation as any way you want. Just don't count sleeping as meditation.
Quick
And
little
don't
3 minute
count,
nap.
yeah, yeah,
Ah.
don't count falling asleep as trying to sleep as meditation as well. Be intentional with your meditations. When I was doing research in meditations, there are scientific studies that I watched. So there was so the reason why I'm doing this weekly challenge, the reason why I'm promoting this weekly challenge is because I was subscribed to Curiosity Stream. It's basically this subscription-based service that provides you with documentaries. One of the videos I watched was on meditation's effects on the brain. And long story short, this presenter meditated for a full month, did about 8 minutes of meditation. Meditation is in like focus meditation. So shutting your eyes, not letting any thoughts stick in your head and pushing all your thoughts out. Did that for 8 minutes for an entire month. And after that month elapsed, they tested his abilities before and after, like mental, like abilities to solve puzzles, abilities to solve problems. And there was like a 25% increase in his ability to be able to perform, long story
Wow.
short, after that month of meditation. And so meditation for me is a big thing. It's a great way for us to build focus. And it's a great way for us to build a mental regimen so that we know how to, I guess, going back to focus, just know how to focus better, know how to just take some time to yourself to not be overwhelmed with life. And who knows, maybe it'll help with emotional regulation as well. But I challenge every one of our listeners and viewers to meditate for at least 3 minutes a day, just for 7 days. That's all.
I
No
really like
medal
this
list.
challenge.
Yeah, I hope you do. And I hope everyone else does too, from beginning to end. I decided not to do a tier list. I was so tempted to do like a 3 minute for bronze, 5 minute, and then 10, and then 20. But this time I wanted to just be low key. Just do 3 minutes. 3 minutes is all you need to feel the effects of meditation. Breathe in, breathe out, controlled. Enjoy yourself. Be at peace. Yeah.
Mm. This is going to be a very interesting journey for me because I'll be honest, I've never meditated before. So those of you guys that are listening that also never meditated before, this is foreign territory. But I am really interested in the idea of it. And I'm curious what a week of doing it will feel like because I'm a huge kind of just thinker. I always have a lot of different thoughts going in my head at multiple different times of various subject matters. And that's one also reason why it's hard for me to get sleep. It's because my mind's racing a bajillion miles a minute of different thoughts, and I just can't like rest and calm my mind. So I feel like meditation, hell, maybe it's like the solution to a lot of my problems this whole time is just to like take some time to just like think about nothing or just be calm and not be overburdened, overwhelmed with just thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
ideas. Yeah, so I'm really interested in this. I'm excited to reflect on this a week from now and
Yeah.
see what 3 minutes. And if I like it, I might even try to expand that 3 minutes if I really find it beneficial, like on the second, third day type of thing, expand
Yeah.
it. So, yeah.
And just some additional information. Meditation comes in multiple forms. Um, the most generic, the most well-known form is sitting in place, shutting your eyes, and not letting any thoughts stick in your head. Like I'd mentioned earlier, that's one way to meditate. Another way to
Mm-hmm.
meditate is just letting the thoughts run wild throughout your head. Don't let anything. Don't stop for anything. Just let it all come. Um, just allow yourself to be overwhelmed with the thoughts of your mind. And some people use that meditative technique to figure out what they're most commonly thinking about, or
Oh,
to get a gauge
okay.
as to where their emotional state is. So if they get a bunch of like self doubting thoughts, then there's an issue right there that like there's the common thread. If you're thinking all
Right.
happy thoughts, then you're happy. If you're thinking about other things, then there's most likely a reason why it's stuck to your mind. And even if you're just letting
Mm.
your mind go rampant, like why is that? Why are those series of thoughts coming back to my mind? So there's a lot of different types of meditations out there, all with different prompts, all with different focuses and objectives. And as a bonus challenge, bless you, as a bonus challenge, I would recommend that
Thank you.
each of you do your additional research, figure out what meditative technique works for you, and go from there. There's no one way to meditate. Just don't fall asleep.
I meditated for 8 hours last night, Sean.
I meditate 6 hours every day. But yeah, I'm super excited, super thrilled to see, what our results are for Christian and me. Hopefully, when we reconvene in the next wave 5, we can hear a little bit about your perspective as well. And yeah, I'm super excited. Thank you all
Hey.
for joining us in this new challenge. Let's get it.
Yup, let's go.
All right, everyone. So it's been a while since Christian and I have talked about our recommendations for each other and for you, but we are bringing it back for the one time, of course. So it's been quite some time since we've talked about Rex. Christian, I have
Mhm.
something I want to recommend to you.
All right, let's
This is
hear
a
it. Let's hear
really
it.
this is a really general recommendation, but I've been really stuck on listening to Majid Jordan.
Ah, yeah. Yep,
Yeah,
yep,
I think
yep.
I told you about how I was like in a Majid Jordan phase for a minute, but I'm not
You
gonna lie,
still are.
Majid, I still am. And specifically, they have an album from 2021 that I can't stop blasting. Like,
Mm.
it's one of my downloaded albums on Spotify, and so I would recommend just listening to at least 2 songs from this album. Now, the album is called Wildest Dreams, and it was released in 2021.
Oh.
If there's one, actually, if there are 2 songs I'd recommend, these are kind of cop out songs, but they're just to get you hooked. The two songs I'd recommend are Stars Align with Drake and then Waves
Okay.
of Blue. It's kind of like an R&B, not
Ooh, I
EDM,
like
but
that
like,
title.
yeah. So listen to Stars Align and Waves of Blue. And I think you will genuinely enjoy that Majid Jordan album. Have you listened to them? Have you listened to that album before or no?
Not to that album. I was really into them back in 2017, so I listened to a
Ooh.
lot of Majid Jordan, specifically their
Mhm.
album "The Space Between" back in 2017. I bumped that album heavy. Have you heard that album?
I have.
Yeah,
I just
I
thought of
listened to
that.
that album a lot.
Yeah, no,
Um,
that was a great album too. But I'm not gonna lie, Wildest Dreams has to be their greatest album. Not
you
gonna
think
lie,
so? Okay, I'm
I know so. Like they came
okay.
up with an album in 2023 that was on the slower end. Honestly, that was an acquired taste for me, but I actually enjoy Good People. That's the name of their most recent album that came out. I actually
Hmm.
like that album. A lot of people didn't like it though because it was more like jazz funk, slow jazz funk. But my recommendation, Wildest Dreams album from 2021, Majid Jordan.
So for my music recommendation of the week, this is honestly probably one of the more well-known releases this past week. The one and only J. Cole dropped, and he dropped a surprise EP called "Might Delete Later," and that EP was a shock because it wasn't announced. He kind of pump faked the hell out of the music industry because he has this album called "The Fall Off" that is been notoriously teased by him and his team as his like last official album like ever, I guess, so to speak. I don't know if that's actually true, but he's been talking about retirement. He's been talking about like, this is the last album he's ever going to put out and it's going to be his best work ever. So there's been a lot of hype around it. Well, the past like month or two, Cole has been dropping on Instagram. He created this like separate IG account called Might Delete Later. And it was like these vlog style teaser trailer promos for what we thought was the fall off. What we thought was his last project. We thought this was like he's just calling Might Delete Later. Like that's just how his rollout's going to be, which was super creative, super unique. And there's like little teasers of sections of his music in the Might Delete Later trailers that we thought was part of the fall off.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like last week he dropped a whole EP titled Might Delete Later, and we're like, oh my gosh, this is like an actual separate like project. We're like, what? So then now the kind of new thinking is like, is the fall off like even like closer than what we thought, or is he teasing something like years later? Maybe we thought it was his next project, but he was just saying, "Nah, I'm working on this like for years now, but maybe he's not going to release it till like no joke when he's ready to retire because he already released." So I don't know. I'm not sure how exactly, but regardless, Might Delete Later. It's a 12 track EP, 43 minutes of fucking bars of. If y'all like Cole and his relatability, if you're tapped into the TLs on X or Twitter, on IG, or just like social media, there's this big convo, this big talk in the rap game of the big three is Drake, Kendrick, Cole, and I'm sure you've heard it, Sean, of
I've
the
heard it.
yeah, you've seen what the TL's been talking about, and it's essentially on Future and Metro's "We Don't Trust You" album, Kendrick on the song "Like That" basically took shots, took shots at Drake and J. Cole, basically saying "F the big three, it's just Big Me," and that kind of set the world ablaze because they're like, oh, world star, like Kendrick calling out Cole and Drake, basically saying he's not all about that clicking up, the friendship. Like so he basically was like, Cole, you have something to prove. You've never been in rap beef. Like he's done all this talking, and Cole has been doing a lot of talking, saying that he's the best. He's the best on features, on his like singles, on his projects. So Ken's just like, nope, I'm going at you. Time for you to like see if you're really about what you're talking about, and then coming at you, Drake, for just like for basically
Just
just
being
like
Drake.
for just being Drake, just thinking you run shit, but you don't. And for the listeners out there, Kendrick has the most accolades out of all of them in terms of like awards, like Grammys. He has a Pulitzer Prize, which is unprecedented. He's the first like hip hop rap artist to win a Pulitzer, which is
That's
crazy.
for writers, yeah.
For writers, that's how good his
Yeah.
pen game is, and the respect factor. And yeah, he basically took shots. And Cole and this EP, the whole thing about it was like, bro, is he gonna reply? Is he gonna respond? Is he gonna respond? Is he gonna respond to K Dot? Well, I'm not gonna spoil it, but check the last song of that EP, and he does respond in an interesting way. Have you heard the project, Sean? Might delete later.
No, I haven't heard the project yet, so I'm gonna listen to it.
Word.
Yeah.
Okay, dude,
I'm
you
listening
guys
to
listen to
Madden.
it. No, that shit will get you hyped, bro.
Oh yeah.
Like one of my favorite songs is the whole project is fire, but I really like the first two songs, Pricey and Crocodile Tears. I really like HYB, which if you listen to the song, you'll know what the acronym stands for. I'm not gonna say it. And I also like Huntin' Wabbits. Huntin' Wabbits is fire. Really, the whole project is fire, bro. And if you're looking for bars, if you all like just like lyricism and wordplay, the track 8, the song Pie with Daylight and Absol, that is a gem if you love deciphering wordplay and just like bars in general. So that's my music suggestion of the week. Might delete later. It's a fire project. Check it out. As well as Sean's weekly suggestion of Wildest Dreams by Majid Jordan. And then you can put it down in the comment section below if you guys rock with the projects that we suggested, or if you have any new music suggestions for us, drop it down in the comment section below and we'll check those out too.
Absolutely. Thank you, Christian. Super excited to listen to J. Cole's new album, or new EP, I should say. The new extended play. Let's get it.
All right, Dream Chasers. So per tradition, we are going to end Wave 4 Wavecast with our infamous hypertheticals. Let's go. And I'll be taking charge on this one. Honestly, this is just a really fun hyperthetical. I'm curious on your guys' answers of this and also Sean's. So this is the hyperthetical. So the scenario, painting the picture. You are given $1 million to hide a single paperclip from a detective, right? So you have to hide a single paperclip from a detective, and he has 7 days to find that paperclip. And if he doesn't find it after 7 days, you win that $1 million. If he does find it, you owe him $1 million. Where are you hiding this paperclip? It has to be a really good spot, dude. It could be anywhere, but you have to hide it.
Like, I don't know if I'm overthinking it, but no matter where I go, that detective's gonna know where I went, so they'll know if I like drop it anywhere. So it's a matter of figuring out where. I would ship it. I would go to the nearest UPS.
But what if he talks to the UPS employees?
Oh, I didn't say I'd go in legally. I'd go in. I'd wait till they have an open, the mail guy. So the mail person, when they drive by my house, I'll sneak in. I'll sneak into their van. I'll put the paperclip there, and then hopefully it'll go to like a box that goes to like a different state.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, I'd hide it in a package that's outgoing, but I'd try to do it in a way that the detective doesn't know that I went to like the mailbox or something. Because then they'll just be able to figure out like, hey, where did Sean Mateo's mail go? I'll try to tie it to something else.
Okay. I like that.
That's like my initial thought. Yeah. Just get it off my tail. Because I can't fly a plane and like drop it anywhere. I can't go into the ocean because motherfuckers probably got cameras showing where I went.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the most fun way would be to mail it. Break into like a USPS van and like put it in someone else's mail.
I like that. That's elaborate. That's a lot more like thoughtful than my answer.
I was about to say my ass, but
Bro, for 7 days, that's
and then I'll shit it out.
bro, my answer is like kind of stupid, but I hope it would actually pan out. I would hide it in plain sight. Well, kind of in plain sight, but like it's not too elaborate. But I would go in my closet and pick out a like a jacket or hell even like a sweater and put it in between like the fabrics of like a hoodie or a jacket or sweater, and then just like kind of sew it up to where it's like it's in between the cloth, so it's in between like the front end and the back end of all my clothes. So like I feel like that's damn near impossible to find. There's no way, right? There's no way he would be able to find a paperclip hidden in one of the many like clothing items like in between the fabrics. That's how I would do it. That's kind of what I just thought, because it was like, first of all, no one's mind goes there to where are you going to hide the paperclip? I mean, there's obvious kind of locations to look at, but also just like who thinks to put something in between of like the fabrics of like a shirt or like a hoodie, right?
That's true. Damn, you're thinking about it in like the little details. I like it. And I'm thinking like big, fucking drop it off a hot air balloon type of shit.
You're thinking of like very like Fast and Furious type of.
All right, now we know what type of thinkers you and I are. I'm out there, bro. You're like
maybe
intricate.
Mine's. I don't know. I feel like mine's a little too simple too. He could easily find it.
I mean, I thought you were about to say, yeah, I'll hide it with other paper clips, and I've been like, that's not a bad idea. Because if it's like a nondescript paperclip, how the fuck are they gonna know which one it is?
He picks out one. He's like, "Is this the one?" I'm like, "No." "Is this the one?" "No." "Is this the one?" Wait. Is it? No.
I fucking kill him. Let me sleep, motherfucker. Figure this shit out.
That's funny, bro.
Well, I'm glad we got a little bit of insight into the way you and I think.
But for all you dream chasers, all you listeners out there, how would you hide the paperclip? You're given 7 days for a detective to look for it. So what spots, what locations would you hide the paperclip? And let us know in the DM us, or drop your comments in the comment box, or roast us for our opinions. That works too.
That also works. That is a viable substitute.
All right. So thank you all. Thank you all the listeners out there, all the dream chasers, for rocking with us for 4 waves in a row and also 1 storm episode. So we really appreciate all the love and support that y'all have been giving us these past 5 weeks. It's been a crazy, crazy ride. Me and Sean, we kind of been doing this consistently for 5 weeks straight. So just a little, applause for me and Sean for just doing this consistently, because it's hard to do. And it's also just trying something new for us. And we're glad that y'all are benefiting from it, enjoying the Wavecast, enjoying the storms, enjoying the weekly challenges, enjoying the hypertheticals, rocking with us, giving us feedback, suggestions, and tapping in. So y'all are riding the waves with us. And we are super excited for all the future things we have planned. Don't forget to also I don't ever say this, but y'all been doing this before already, but like, comment, subscribe, and all of that jazz. It just helps us out a lot, genuinely. We're not going to be asking for that a lot, because, it's your life. You do whatever. But yeah, thank you guys again for tapping in, riding the waves with us. We'll see y'all next week on wave 5, actually. So, I hope you guys have a good week, or hope you had a good week. It's Friday for you guys, and hope you have a good weekend following up. So, we can't wait to see you all next week. And, thank you. Dream Chasers.
We out.
There you go.
Sipping on champagne, smoking on that OG strain. I've been through